All right, let's talk about Caitlin Clark again. You know her, you love her, and if you don't, well, you're about to. Did you know that the Rookie of the Year wasn't just breaking records last season, but was also breaking hearts with her kindness? So here's the deal. Let's say you're Caitlin Clark, the hottest thing in sports since the invention of sports bra, and everywhere you go, arenas are packed to the rafters. I'm talking about standing room only, people on the third balcony looking down at the tops of players' heads. It's like a Where's Waldo game, but instead of finding a guy in a striped shirt, everyone's trying to spot Caitlin's ponytail swishing through defenders. Now, I don't know about you, but if I were in Clark's shoes, I'd be asking the WNBA for a solid gold basketball hoop or at least a diamond-encrusted water bottle. Heck, I'd settle for a lifetime supply of those fancy moisture-wicking socks that make you feel like you're walking on clouds. But not our girl, Caitlin. No, she's out here trying to spread the wealth like a basketball Robin Hood.
Out. And since it's off the record, here's all you need to know about Caitlin Clark. When we would go to away games, they always sold out. Unbelievable. So Atlanta would normally have 3,000, 4,000 people. Now they have 17,000 people, and they sold 1,000 standing room only tickets. So when we walked into the arena, people were on that third balcony looking down at the tops of our players' heads to watch. It's really hard to take in. After a few away games and all of the sellouts, Caitlin asked the WNBA if they would pay spot bonuses to the away team players. She said, wow, we're making all this new revenue, and I would like the away team to benefit from that. Could they get a spot bonus? So that's the heart of Caitlin Clark. I mean, that's a classy, amazing person.
Absolute bonkers, right? Unfortunately, the WNBA had to rain on her parade. They were like, sorry, Caitlin, that's against our CBA, which, let's be real, probably stands for can't be awesome in this case. But let's break down what a spot bonus actually is for those of you who aren't fluent in corporate speak. It's basically a one-time attaboy, or in this case, attagirl, for improving the financial metrics of the league. And boy, has Caitlin been improving those metrics. The Indiana Fever, Caitlin's team, went from being the wallflower of the WNBA to the belle of the ball. Last year, they were averaging about 4,000 fans per game. That's fewer people than show up to watch me try to parallel park on a good day. It's like the saddest flash mob ever, where everyone forgot to show up. Fast forward to the Caitlin Clark era, and suddenly the Fever are hotter than my flat iron on prom night. They are packing in over 20,000 people per game. That's a 500% increase. The last time I saw a 500% increase in anything, it was my calorie intake during a bad breakup. And it's not just at home. When the Fever hit the road, it's like they're the Beatles on tour. Their away games drew a combined crowd of 264,643 fans. That's an average of 13,232 per game. To put that in perspective, that's more people than the population of some small towns. It's like the entire city of Greenfield, Indiana, decided to pack up and follow Caitlin around the country. We're not just talking about a flash in the pan here. No, sir. We're talking about a potential game changer for women's basketball. And when I say game changer, I mean Michael Jordan level game changer. Now someone might be thinking, whoa there, pump the brakes. Are you really comparing Caitlin Clark to his airness? Well, that's exactly what I'm doing. Let's take a little trip down memory lane. Michael Jordan didn't just dominate the basketball court in the late 80s and 90s. He basically rewrote the rulebook on what it meant to be a sports icon. The man turned sneakers into a fashion statement. He made bald heads cool. He even made us believe we could fly if we just drank the right sports drink. Jordan's impact was so massive, it transcended basketball. He turned the NBA into a global phenomenon. Suddenly, people who couldn't tell a basketball from a beach ball were tuning in to watch the Chicago Bulls. And let's not forget about that sweet, sweet merch money. We're talking about a $7 billion empire here, guys. That's billion with a capital B. As in, boy, that's a lot of zeros. But here's the kicker. Caitlin Clark might just be on track to surpass that. I know, it sounds crazy. But hear me out. First off, let's talk about timing. Jordan's rise to fame happened when the NBA was already a pretty big deal. Caitlin? She's basically dragging the WNBA into the spotlight by sheer force of will. It's like she looked at the league and said, hold my juice. This season, Caitlin's playoff games were pulling in viewers like free pizza at a college dorm. We're talking a peak of 3.4 million viewers and an average of 2.5 million. To put that in perspective, that's more people than have seen me attempt to do a pull-up. And trust me, that video went viral for all the wrong reasons. It's like the entire population of Chicago decided to tune in and watch Caitlin work her magic. Meanwhile, I can barely get my cat to watch me when I'm opening her food can. And let's talk endorsements for a hot second. Nike, the company that basically prints money and has more swooshes than my Tinder profile has left swipes, looked at Caitlyn and said, "Yep, that's our girl." They're giving her the signature shoe treatment, something they've only done for one other athlete at the start of their career. Can you guess who? I'll give you a hint. He's balder than my dating prospects and made the number 23 more famous than my waist size after a week at an all-inclusive resort. That's right, Michael Jordan. Caitlyn Clark is getting the Michael Jordan treatment from Nike. It's like Nike looked at her and said, "You know what? This girl isn't the next anyone. She's the first Caitlyn Clark." And let me tell you, being the first you is way better than being the next someone else. Allison Barber, the president of the Indiana Fever, put it best when she said, "She's bringing in new fans," much like what Tiger did for golf. Michael Jordan did it for basketball. And now Caitlyn is doing the same for the WNBA. Now, let's talk about those attendance numbers again, because they're just too juicy to gloss over. Well, actually, it's not just about the numbers. It's about the impact. Nancy Lieberman, a basketball legend in her own right, said it best. As a baller to a baller, I just want to say thank you to you, Caitlyn Clark, for just lifting our game up. You and so many great players for what you're doing. You're going to make all these women multimillionaires one day. Like Tiger did, like Michael Jordan did. And we shouldn't hate on her, we should celebrate her, not tolerate her. And that's where Caitlyn's potential to surpass Jordan's impact really shines. Jordan made basketball cool. Caitlyn, she's making women's basketball cool. And let's be real, that's a much tougher mountain to climb. Now I can already hear some of you Jordan fanatics getting your Air Jordans in a twist. But what about the ratings? You cry. What about the 22.3 rating for Game 6 of the 1998 NBA Finals? And you're right, those are some impressive numbers. But let's not forget that we're living in a completely different media landscape now. Back in Jordan's day, if you wanted to watch a game, you had to, actually watch it on a TV at a specific time. Now, we've got streaming, social media highlights, TikTok dance challenges, the works. The fact that Caitlyn's pulling in millions of viewers in this fractured media environment is nothing short of miraculous. All right, Jordan's influence was massive, no doubt, but in some ways it was also limited. He made basketball more popular, sure. But Caitlyn? She's not just making basketball more popular. She's potentially changing the entire landscape of women's sports. Think about it. How many young girls are out there right now, watching Caitlyn sink three-pointers from halfway across the court and thinking, I want to do that? How many parents are taking their daughters to WNBA games for the first time? How many boys are growing up seeing a woman as their basketball idol? That's the kind of change that could ripple out for generations. It's not just about basketball anymore. It's about changing perceptions, breaking down barriers, and showing that women's sports can be just as exciting, just as lucrative, and just as important as men's. And let's not forget, Caitlyn's story is just beginning. She's got her whole career ahead of her. Who knows what records she'll break, what milestones she'll reach, what impact she'll have 5, 10, 20 years down the line. Now, I'm not saying Caitlyn Clark is going to single-handedly solve gender inequality in sports. I'm not even saying she's definitely going to surpass Jordan's impact. But what I am saying is that the potential is there. The groundwork is being laid. And if anyone can do it, it's Caitlyn. Because here's the thing. Caitlyn Clark isn't just a basketball player. She's a phenomenon. She's a force of nature. She's the kind of player that comes along once in a generation and changes everything. And the best part? She's doing it all with a heart of gold. Remember how we started this whole thing? With Caitlyn trying to share her success with her fellow players? That's the kind of person we're dealing with here. She's not just in it for herself. She's in it for the game, for her teammates, for women's sports as a whole. So yeah, maybe it sounds crazy to say that Caitlyn Clark could surpass Michael Jordan's impact. But you know what? 20 years ago, it probably sounded crazy to say that a women's basketball player could draw crowds bigger than some NBA teams. And look where we are now. The truth is, we don't know what the future holds. But one thing's for sure. With Caitlyn Clark on the court, it's going to be one hell of a ride. So, buckle up, basketball fans. We're witnessing history in the making. Now, if you enjoyed this video, check out this other video I did on how NBA legends truly perceive Caitlyn Clark. It'll surely blow your mind. Thanks for watching.